Okay, let me start this off by first letting you know that Magic Mind did approach me. However, this video is not sponsored. They're not paying me to do this. They paid for me receiving the product, and I split it with some of the other members of the Token Podcast crew, namely Rangiku, also known as Calliope. And we utilized it in our different ways and methodologies to see what we would think about it and give an honest review. And when I stress that term honest, I mean they are not going to sue me, to at least to my knowledge, for telling the truth if I didn't like it, nor did they pay me to give it nothing but 100% praise. I know some of you may view this as a commercial or something, but it's not. This is actually content for us, or a new video to make. But let's get into it. The easiest way to think of Magic Mind is a indirect focus booster based on someone trying to make a drink that could basically destroy their independence on caffeine. In fact, quickly browsing over to the website section on this origin, apparently the creator decided to cut off their caffeine amount because they got into the ER of a hospital because they were stressed and they had high levels of caffeine in their system. So, man, I'm glad you didn't die because you made a good product. For those of you who want the expedited version of this, I personally, myself, Zach Pearson, do recommend Magic Mind. Token Podcast recommends Magic Mind. However, we are a group of individuals. So only the real two people who actually taste test it and utilize this material are the ones who will be primarily giving their opinions. Because, well, no one else is qualified to do it unless they went and bought this stuff without telling me. But yes, we do recommend it. However, we're going to go into detail as to why and what we utilized it for individually. I'll be going first just because, well, I was the one who initiated this entire Magic Mind thing by answering the emails and making sure it wasn't some bot, or they understood that, hey, I'm not going to lie for you and you're not going to pay me to lie for you. Or if you were going to pay me to lie for you, I promise you would need to actually give me any amount of money that dramatically exceeds something insane like $100,000. And even then, I'm still probably not going to lie, but I'm going to see if I can keep the money. With that being said, I primarily use Magic Mind when I was in the middle of video editing, cinematography, color correction, color grading, or I was writing new materials and assets that have to deal with anything relating to the YouTube channel and possibly to Spotify. And on a slight note, I also eventually used it in the middle of playing aggressive games, or in particular, fighting games. No, not Tekken 8. I ended up timing myself in relation to things such as how long certain things took me without it for a week, and then did a whole nother week where I just said, you know what, I'm going to take a half dosage before I start doing something, let it be in my system 3 or 4 minutes, then went and did it, and see if I would notice a time difference. Now, I know what you're thinking in the world of video editing. The biggest thing you need to do is stay awake, or make sure you're timing the estimations for when your renders are going to complete pretty well. That way you don't burn up or waste time or have them automatically start one after the other. That's true. However, another way to monitor your time is to see under the influence or off of the influence of some secondary supplement. I don't know what happened, but for some reason, my videos on average, unless it's a 2 cent aisle video, take me usually about 1 hour and 50 minutes to get processed. That means going from starting the editing process to finishing the editing process and letting it render. For some reason, I noticed for 3 days straight, I had a 40-minute decline. I was getting back 40 minutes. I couldn't perceive if this was because of Magic Mind or not. I wasn't expecting any form of placebo effect. And to my knowledge, I don't think I did have one, for the simple fact that I didn't have some like really hyperactive, yay, I love Magic Mind background. So I went and bought 2 more packs outside of what they initially gave me money to buy for. And even though those videos have not been released yet, fun fact, I finished a lot of my stuff ahead of time, surprising no one. I noticed that it was very consistent. I did 3 more videos, and the time I got back was 38 minutes, 37 minutes and some change, and then a flat out almost approximately exactly 40. And I'm just sitting up here thinking, that makes no sense. Or rather, I guess it does make sense. Improved focus. However, I don't have ADHD, and I turn my phone on silent or vibrate when I'm in the middle of editing, especially when I know I'm not supposed to be getting any important or emergency calls or information. And I don't have any real-time email tickers. Never will I do that, because I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm super popular, but I do get a lot of business emails and they'll be at random time zones. So I like having less levels of stress in my life, or it'll interrupt my workouts. Now, the other portion is I want to calculate and say, because my stopwatch has a built-in save timer function. According to my screenshot, yes, I did some editing that y'all not going to catch. I don't know what happened, but specifically when it came to fighting games, I was calmer and it was easier to focus. And for some reason, I just naturally felt less tension even in close matches. I'm not going to say it's going to make you win a giant tournament, but I noticed that I was calmer, which made my focus last longer. Now, when it came to more relaxing type games or games I play, with a naturally happier mood and atmosphere, Sonic Frontiers, Horizon Zero Dawn, or, to a lesser extent, just going through something that has a character creator and designing something, I noticed I was getting done or I was improving faster than normal. Now, I know that's a bit of an ambiguous statement, but I guess the best way to give it to you if you're a gamer is that on average, especially when you end the stage that has a timer on it, how long it takes you to do something. And the few times I picked specific games where I knew I could properly test some things out, Sonic Generations, Sonic Frontiers in particular, I noticed that in tense moments, I was more relaxed and calm, or rather, I was able to focus and reduce my levels of tension that I would feel. Like when you're in a fighting game and, your HP is really low, your enemy's HP is really low, who's going to knock out who first? Situations like that. But in the case of Sonic, it made it easier to control and figure out and respond in various situations that would require high levels of reflex reaction or predetermined reflexing. So I'm not going to say Magic Mind has improved my reflexes or temporarily enhanced my reflexes, because I would need to do more physical testing, not video game testing. But I noticed, much like when I'm working out, it's creating some type of an influence on me where I do not feel like I am stressed out or my heart rate is dramatically increasing just because I consider this activity strenuous. I think I might become a customer. But based on what the ingredients are that they put on the bottle and the taste, I can say that it feels like they are being accurate with what they state. As to how many levels and to what extent every ingredient is put in via ratios, I don't know, and I kind of don't really care. I care about, is this thing going to affect like glucose, or is it going to be in just, caffeine 2.0, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things I'm more concerned about. Furthermore, the taste I recommend cold or room temp, never do it hot. You may be tempted to. I took mine straight as to not have any secondary influences with it. So if I took my Magic Mind, the only thing that went in beforehand was water, or the only thing that went in for the next hour was water. And even in cases where I felt dehydrated, it was never to the point where I was thinking, you know what, let me double dose on this Magic Mind. I was able to properly portion out to do my testing. All in all, I would give Magic Mind the equivalent of a B+. They're so close to that A. But the biggest issue I have is what I'm given versus the amount I would like to get. But I can understand, especially if having this drink in a higher dosage and someone drinks it straight could cause some form of an issues. I do recommend it for focus more than energy. However, the two are intrinsically linked in this liquid. So if you want one, consider getting the other, the bonus. Now, with that being said, I'm going to now recite some thoughts and feelings from the secondary user, Calliope, aka Rangiku. I will put her grade at the end, and you guys can figure out what you want from there. Now, they chose to provide some notes because they kept a log of taking it for about 3 days straight, maybe 5 days straight. So I'm just going to go through that. To whom it may concern, the following statement is not mine. It is recited by me. Surprised by taste. Recommended chilled, as did I, but even room temp wasn't bad, just not as good. Taste in general is pleasant, not angry, strong, sweet, bitter, etc. Flavorful without being overwhelming. Moving into the effects. The energy was good, the focus not so much. There were outside factors. However, being surrounded by what seems like many personal factors in daily life led to noticing an increase in energy, but not a strong increase to helping with their focus capabilities. They were able to continue in high stress and taxing activities and push to reach a decent stopping point instead of just giving up, or I guess coming down to a crash like if you were. And on the third day, notice no major changes, extreme stress, no energy due to said stress. So essentially, it looked like it worked, but based on the environment they were in, the effects were dramatically reduced, which is understandable. I primarily chose Rangiku because, for the most part, me and they have an opposite, well, life. Whereas mine is calming down and trying to be a little bit more stationary because I've already done the high activity levels of things that I needed to do or didn't want to do but had to do. They're on the opposite spectrum. As far as I'm concerned, I couldn't have picked a more perfect person. That being said, their letter grade, if they had to grade it on the scale, would be also a B, no plus. Now, for those of you interested, now that we've covered how we feel about it, I just want to point out what's inside of it because, well, I mean, why wouldn't I? I feel like they should put in more agave. Not because I don't like the bitter aftertaste, but the taste alone is very bitter at the tail end, but not to the point of you making a sour face like you just sucked the lemon. So, for those of you listening who might see this, who actually work on this, if you make a more agave heavy edition, maybe do some food coloring to denote the differentiation, I would greatly appreciate that. And my taste buds and tongue would thank you in a platonic sense. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy Magic Mind or give it a shot, especially if you're a gamer and you like to do extremely intense things. I'd love to hear from people who play, high intensity first person shooters, how they feel about it. As previously mentioned, this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid to tell you this. Whereas with Rangiku, she preferred that it be, well, good for productivity and would consider buying it again wholesale without any, free samples being given us. Like I said, I already went back and bought myself 2 extras just to do more testing with. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. And, safe travels, happy drinking of Magic Mind.